Your life doesn't need more brute force, it needs order. You keep trying to push when what you really need to do is get organized. And that's the mistake. The more you force things, the deeper you sink. Chaos wins because you let it grow inside you. The Stoics already warned us. The real danger isn't what happens outside, it's the disorder we allow within. And tell me, isn't that what's happening to you? You're fighting 1,000 things, but the real battle is in your own mind. This video is your reminder. Stop wearing yourself out trying to control what can't be controlled. Instead, organize your life. Put everything in its place, and you'll see how things start to flow. Today, you'll discover what to do to reclaim your calm and direction. The question is simple. Will you keep forcing until you break? Or will you learn to live with order so that everything else falls into place? You're here for a reason, not by chance. Maybe because deep down you already know that forcing doesn't work and what you need is order. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this journey is just getting started, and every step can make a difference. And if you're truly ready to commit, write in the comments, Stoic at heart. 1. The first move is in your hands. How many times have you waited for someone to come along and bring order to your life? A boss to motivate you? A partner to give you stability? A friend to push you to change? As if some external savior might show up with magical solutions. And meanwhile, the days go by, the mess grows, and you keep waiting. The Stoics already warned us. It's not the world that drowns us, it's how we face it. Chaos doesn't take over because life is unfair. It takes over because you let it in, and then feed it with your inaction. Disorder is like an invasive plant. It seems harmless at first, but the more you ignore it, the deeper its roots grow. Think of an ordinary morning. It doesn't take a tragedy to see how disorder begins. You open your eyes, and the clothes are still draped over the chair, the emails unanswered, yesterday's dishes still in the sink. None of these things alone are a big deal, but they pile up. What seems like a small detail ends up weighing on your mind all day. It's not just a messy house, it's a cluttered mind. Epictetus explained it perfectly. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The chair with clothes isn't the problem. The problem is that your mind turns that mess into a quiet phrase. I don't have control over my life. And that thought repeats itself with every task you leave undone. Now change the scene. You wake up and before checking your phone, you head straight to the window, open it, and take a deep breath. Then you pick one simple but concrete action. Tidy up that corner of your desk you always avoid. Reply to just one important email. Or prep your food instead of improvising. It may not seem like much, but that action breaks the inertia. You've snapped the "I'll do it later" cycle, and proved to yourself that you can act. Modern psychology says the same thing in different words. Rafael Santandreu, psychologist and speaker, explains that self-responsibility is the foundation of real change. When you stop blaming others and take ownership of what's in your hands, everything starts to shift. And my friend, that responsibility isn't a burden, it's freedom. Because it means the power is back where it belongs, in your hands. Marcus Aurelius said the same, in his own words. The perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. What does that mean here? That order doesn't start with a grand life plan. It starts with the decision not to let today slip away in excuses. You might ask, where do I even start when everything feels upside down? You don't need a 10-step guide or a color-coded planner. What you need is the first move. And that move can be so small it almost feels silly. But it's the one that changes everything. Pick one small physical space and organize it completely. Sometimes order starts in something so small it seems ridiculous. Maybe it's that corner of the desk where you always dump papers, or the chair where clothes pile up day after day. If you take 10 minutes and leave it spotless, it's not just that you now have a tidy space, it's visible proof that chaos doesn't rule you. Every time you see it, you'll remember you're capable of putting things in their place. Same goes for time. Saying "I'll do it tomorrow" is like opening the door for disorder to stay one more day. It's much better to set a clear time. At 6, I'll answer that email. At 9, I'll take out the trash. It might sound over the top, but that kind of precision is what takes the power away from procrastination. In the end, it's not about having a perfect schedule. It's about deciding with clarity. And when the day ends, ask yourself a simple question in front of the mirror. What did I do today that came from me, not from inertia? It could be something as small as putting the groceries away instead of leaving them out, or calling that person you've been avoiding for weeks. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you recognize it. And if one day you have no answer, don't beat yourself up. Just use it as a reminder that tomorrow you don't want to repeat the same pattern. Order doesn't show up all at once. It shows up when you choose to act today, even in something tiny. You don't need to force it, because life flows better when you stop pushing against everything. All it takes is a commitment to that first move. Chaos doesn't disappear with complaints or excuses. It fades when you get up and say, "Today, I choose to get organized." The rest, sooner or later, comes on its own. 2. Your life is a reflection of your schedule. Think of your day as a blank canvas. Every single thing you do, every minute you spend, is a brushstroke. Some strokes shape the person you want to become, but many others show up by accident, like smudges that don't belong in the painting. And when you step back to look at it, you realize it looks nothing like what you once dreamed. That's how chaos sneaks in, little by little, so quietly you don't even notice, until the final picture feels like a stranger. Let's be clear, my friend. Every minute you let slip away is a minute you'll never get back. And the worst part? You almost never notice it. Chaos creeps in like background noise in a cafe, not loud enough to bother you, until one day you realize you've forgotten what silence sounds like. It's the same with your schedule. You say, "Just 5 minutes on social." I'll reply to this real quick. One video and that's it. And suddenly those 5 minutes have become hours that are gone for good. Marcus Aurelius was speaking directly to this illusion when he wrote, "Don't act as if you were going to live 1,000 years." He didn't say it to sound profound. He said it because he knew that illusion of eternity is what makes us waste what truly matters today. Psychologists call this invisible adaptation. José Miguel Gaona explains it well. When you live surrounded by interruptions, screens, and constant changes of plan, your brain assumes that chaos is normal. You get used to living on high alert, even if you don't realize it. And that constant alert steals your focus, your energy, even your sleep. Try this. Review your last full day. How much time did you spend on what really matters to you? And how much slipped away on distractions you don't even remember? A friend told me something that really made me think. She checked her screen time report, convinced it would show 2 hours. The result? Almost 7 in one day. And the worst part wasn't the number. It was where that time had gone. 2 hours on social media, another on news, another shopping online. And the one thing she actually wanted to do, learning a language, she hadn't even touched. That day, she made a simple choice. She set app limits after 30 minutes. The effect was instant. Suddenly she had more time to read, felt less scattered, and even started sleeping better. She discovered something important. Just like a messy room, your mind needs space and silence to feel clear again. You don't have to copy her exactly, but you can try something similar. Pick one block of time during the day where your phone stays out of reach. Call that your breathing space. It could be while you eat, during a short walk, or just before bed. Even if it's just 20 minutes, it becomes pure gold, because you're fully present again. And when a sudden plan pops up, pause for a second and ask yourself one question that works like a filter. Is this vital or viral? If it's vital, do it with intention. If it's viral, ask yourself if it's really worth your time. Too often we say yes without thinking, and what seemed like a fun moment becomes another stain on your day's canvas. Your time isn't infinite or recyclable. It's the canvas where you paint who you are. And if you don't choose your brushstrokes, someone else will. And they almost never paint what you wanted. Don't fall for the idea that you have to do everything. Just organize your time like someone tending a garden. Pull out the weeds, water what matters, and leave room for the valuable things to grow. Remember, order in your schedule isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of your calm, your focus, and the life you want to build. And if you're still unsure, think about this. A year from now, you'll look back and see where your hours went. Will it be toward what you truly wanted, or what chaos chose for you? Tell me in the comments, what pointless activity are you cutting from your day starting now? Maybe your answer will inspire someone else in this community to take back their time too. 3. Your mornings and nights speak for you. The Stoics understood something we keep forgetting. The day doesn't start when the alarm goes off. It starts in your mind. And no, of course they didn't have fire alarm sounding phones waking them up. But they were crystal clear about one thing. The first decision you make when you open your eyes sets the tone for everything else. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of the kind of people and situations he would face that day. Not out of pessimism, but so that chaos wouldn't catch him off guard. They knew that your first and last thoughts of the day can tip the balance toward calm or toward disorder. Chaos rarely kicks the door down. It seeps in through the small stuff, the everyday routines you repeat without thinking. One mindless night of scrolling turns into a late wake-up. That late wake-up becomes a rushed day, and a rushed day snowballs into a week that feels like it slipped through your fingers. That's how a life without structure builds itself, minute by minute, almost without you noticing. Now think, how do your mornings usually start? You open your eyes, and the first thing you do is check your phone. Within seconds, your brain is flooded with messages, news, videos, and notifications you never asked for. You're still in bed, but your mind has already run off chasing all that noise. It's like starting a race without warming up. You're burned out before you've even begun. And you know why that happens? Because chances are your nights are just as chaotic. If you go to bed with a screen lighting up your face, hopping from one app to another, your rest isn't really rest. What you plant in those final minutes of the day is exactly what grows the next morning. Anxiety, fatigue, scattered thoughts. Now imagine the opposite. Instead of scrolling until sleep drags you under, you choose to end your day with calm. You turn off your screen half an hour before bed and sit in silence, even if it's just for a minute. You pick up a notebook and write 3 words that capture how you want to end the day. Gratitude, rest, clarity, or maybe peace, relief, serenity. Then you run through your day in your mind and find one small thing that was worth it. A smile, a conversation, a quiet moment. It doesn't matter if the whole day was a mess. What matters is that you end it with intention, not noise. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it. And using it well starts with these tiny seeds. It's not about adding more tasks. It's about choosing better how you begin and end your day. So now you know. At night, before you close your eyes, give your mind a proper send-off. Don't carry the weight of everything unfinished. Give yourself 1 minute of gratitude. Ask yourself, what small moment made me smile today? What did I learn even in the middle of chaos? Who offered me a kind gesture?" That 1 minute clears out the mental clutter and tells your brain, it's done, the day is over, you did your best. My friend, if you hand over your first and last moments of the day to disorder, you can't expect the rest of the day to flow with order. Control begins in those intimate moments, when you open your eyes and when you close them. What you do there isn't a small thing. It's the foundation of your calm, your energy, and your ability to stop forcing everything. Just organize yourself and let the rest come naturally. 4. Tidy the outside, breathe on the inside. Your room, your desk, even your car. They're like mirrors silently screaming what's going on inside you. You can't really hide it. When everything's a mess, every object becomes a quiet reminder of something you've left unfinished. That clutter turns into a constant echo whispering, "You still haven't sorted this out." And living with that echo drains you more than any task ever could. Chaos is a lot like a backpack full of stones. Adding one doesn't feel like much. A paper you didn't file, a cup left on the table, a jacket hung for later. But then a day passes, then another. and without noticing, the weight builds up until even moving forward feels heavy. Funny thing is, the backpack didn't change. You just allowed it to fill up, one small weight at a time. If we brought Seneca into your life today and showed him your desk with tangled cables, pens that don't work, and piles of forgotten papers, he'd probably be baffled. Not because he lived in a museum, but because in his philosophy, the essential always came before the unnecessary. His words say it best. Poverty doesn't come from a lack of possessions, but from disordered desire. And that's what gives us away. We don't accumulate out of need, we accumulate because we're afraid to let go. We hold on to things we don't use, just like we hold on to thoughts and emotions that no longer serve us. A friend recently told me he felt overwhelmed by everything. Work, family, projects. Nothing seemed to flow. One day he decided to clean out the trunk of his car, which had been stuffed for months with bags, boxes, and old receipts. He laughed, saying it felt silly to start there, but when he finished, he felt something unexpected. Lightness, as if real weight had been lifted off his shoulders. That night he slept better, and the next morning he started his day with more energy. He hadn't changed his entire life, just one forgotten corner. But that corner became a symbol that order is possible. And that's the key. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about your mind. Every time you choose to tidy something you can see, your brain receives a message of clarity. I felt it myself one Sunday. I needed to write, but my desk was so cluttered, it felt impossible to focus. Instead of giving up, I made a quick decision. Clear the surface. Toss what didn't belong. It took less than 10 minutes. But once I sat back down, the ideas flowed as if someone had opened a window. It hit me hard. Physical mess is a silent thief of energy. I know what you're thinking. Ugh, what a drag. And you're right. But there are small tricks that help if you turn them into personal rituals. I once tried the so-called 2-minute rule. If you see something you can clean or fix in under 2 minutes, you do it right then. Hang up the coat, throw away the scrap paper, wash the cup instead of leaving it on the table. At first it feels like nothing, but the accumulated effect is huge. You end the day without that dragging feeling. Another habit I picked up without even realizing is what I call the order song. Every Sunday I play a playlist that lifts me up, and for 30 minutes I tidy just one area: the kitchen, the desk, the closet. It feels like a game, but it works, because tidying stops being punishment and becomes a light ritual that marks the start of a new week. Imagine opening your bedroom door tomorrow and seeing everything in place. Not perfect, not empty, but clear. No piles staring at you, reminding you of all you haven't done. That image, believe me, doesn't just change what you see, it changes how you breathe. Because when your space can breathe, so can your mind. My friend, don't wait for chaos to dissolve on its own. And you don't need to force an extreme deep clean overnight either. All it takes is one conscious choice. Let go of what weighs you down and keep only what adds value. The Stoics would have applauded it, because outer order is nothing more than a reflection of inner control. When you choose what stays in your space, you're training your mind to choose what stays in your life. And that training, even if it starts with something as small as cleaning out a drawer, is the beginning of a bigger change, reclaiming your energy, your focus, and the certainty that chaos no longer rules you. If you're ready to commit to this change, leave your promise in the comments. Today, I start cleaning my space. Because in that simple act begins the kind of order that spreads into everything else. 5. Without clear direction, chaos decides for you. Imagine your life as a car on the road. You start driving with no destination. At first it feels exciting. Music up, windows down, the thrill of improvising. But soon, you get tired. You realize you don't know where you are and your gas is running low. That dizzy, drifting feeling of being in motion without making progress. That's exactly what happens when you stop planning. It's not freedom. It's exhaustion dressed up as spontaneity. And sooner or later, if you don't choose where you're going, something or someone else will choose for you. The Stoics knew that disorder doesn't come from the outside. It comes from how we respond to a lack of direction. Epictetus said it clearly. Men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. When everything feels chaotic, what's really upsetting you isn't life itself. It's not knowing what meaning to give your days. A day without direction is a lot like a boat adrift. It may seem like you're floating, but really, you're fading. You've probably felt it before. The weekend arrives, you have no clear plan, and you end up bouncing between social media and random messages. You open one app and see everyone living exciting lives. You open another and scroll through memes and motivational videos promising that Monday will be different. And there you are, yawning, telling yourself, tomorrow I'll get serious. But that tomorrow never comes, because without direction, tomorrow always turns into a repeat of today. This isn't about organizing every second of your life or stuffing your calendar with fancy phrases. A realistic plan can start small. Psychologist Paul Perez puts it simply. Instead of setting huge goals, choose one small concrete action you can actually stick with. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to have a quiet moment, or prepping your meals 3 times a week. Every time you follow through, your brain receives a powerful message. You can move forward, and that message shifts how you see yourself. Here's a tip I truly recommend. Try what I call a compass day. Set aside one fixed moment each week to stop, check your direction, and realign. It doesn't need to be dramatic. No candles, no silence retreats. Just 30 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet with no screens around and ask yourself one question. Does what I've got planned this week bring me closer to the person I want to be a year from now? Or am I just going in circles? You don't have to write pages. Sometimes a simple yes or no is enough. Let's say your calendar shows 5 meetings that add nothing to your growth. If the answer is, this doesn't get me anywhere, then you know it's time to move, delegate, or even cancel. On the other hand, if something on there does push you forward, make it a priority. Maybe it's taking care of your health, learning something new. Highlight it. Make it visual. Use bold letters, underline it, color it in, whatever works. When you see it that clearly, it stops being a list of tasks and starts becoming a direction. This compass day won't give you full control over life, but it'll stop you from wandering aimlessly. It's like turning your map right side up once a week so you don't get lost in the storm. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It won't feel like forcing, just organizing your path so that everything else can flow. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The life of each person is what their thoughts make of it." And planning is exactly that, shaping your thoughts before the world does it for you. You don't need to force anything, just set intention. Because when you don't, life fills itself with what others expect, with the urgent, with the loud. So, my friend, look at it this way. Having a plan won't make your life perfect, but it will keep you from drowning in that tired feeling of not knowing why you're exhausted. It's your rudder in the middle of the storm. It won't stop the waves, but it will remind you which way you're rowing. And if today you feel like you're drifting, maybe what you need isn't more energy or more motivation. Maybe what you need is a clear direction, even a simple one that gives you back control. 6. If you plant noise, you harvest chaos. Have you ever ended a day feeling completely drained, like you ran a mental marathon, even though you barely did anything? That kind of exhaustion doesn't always come from your tasks. A lot of the time, it comes from what you've allowed into your mind. Because what you watch, what you scroll through, what you listen to, it doesn't just vanish. It sticks around, taking up the space you could be using for your own ideas, your calm, your focus. The Stoics sensed this long before social media existed. Epictetus summed it up with power. What belongs to others is not yours. And yes, that includes other people's opinions, their drama, and all the comparisons you absorb as if they were part of your own life. What doesn't build you drains you. And the worst part? Most of the time, you let it in without even realizing it. Social media is designed to trap you in a cycle of stimulation, and it rarely leaves you better than it found you. I recently watched a TikTok creator talk about how she unfollowed half the accounts she used to follow, because every time she opened the app, she ended up more anxious than before. She said it wasn't that she suddenly had more time, it's just that her mind wasn't carrying so much noise anymore. And with just that one filter, she started sleeping better and focusing more on her work. She didn't change her whole day, she simply decided what not to let into her head. And I'm sure you've lived it too. You say, "I'll just check Instagram for a minute," and suddenly an hour's gone. You've seen 5 people posting their perfect vacations, others flaunting their workouts, and a few more acting like life is flawless. You, who just wanted to relax, end up feeling like you're behind in a race you never signed up for. Your mind doesn't scream it out loud, but inside it's yelling, "Enough, I can't take this anymore." That's why psychiatrist Marian Rojas Estape is right when she says that protecting what enters your mind isn't a luxury, it's a basic need. Because every unfiltered stimulus you let in is planting something. And if what you plant is noise, don't expect clarity later. So here's something really simple. Treat your social media like your fridge. Would you open the door and leave in expired food, stuff you know doesn't nourish you? Then why do the same with your mind? Start by unfollowing those accounts that trigger comparison or anxiety. No need to make a big deal out of it. Just clean the space. Every time you do, you'll feel instant relief. It's like opening a window and letting fresh air in. Then, create a screen-free pause during your day. It doesn't have to be heroic. Even 20 minutes is enough. Do it during meals, before bed, or when you get home. That quiet moment is like hitting the reset button on your nervous system. It's when your thoughts start sorting themselves out. It's when ideas show up without needing to force them. I started following a personal rule that seemed odd at first, but it worked. For every bit of time I spend on social media, I balance it with something that truly feeds my mind. It might be reading a few pages of a book, writing down a thought, or simply staring out the window and breathing. It's not about living in a cave, it's about offsetting the noise with moments of clarity. And trust me, by the end of the day, you feel the difference. My friend, every notification you accept is like a seed you plant in your mind. Some are wheat, others are weeds. You decide what grows in your mental soil. It's not about being perfect or cutting everything out completely. It's about starting to choose more wisely what you let in. Because if you plant noise, you harvest confusion. But if you choose with intention, what you harvest is calm. So tell me, what are you going to stop consuming from today to make space for your mind? Share it in the comments and you might inspire someone else to start cultivating clarity instead of chaos. Or if you prefer, write, "Today I choose to plant clarity in my mind." 7. Protect your peace the way you protect your home. Have you ever realized that what drains your energy the most isn't your to-do list? It's the people you allow into your mind? The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must protect your mind more than anything else." But here you are, giving away your inner space to complaints, drama, and problems that aren't even yours. As if your mind were a house with no doors, open for anyone to walk in and leave a mess. Picture Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by soldiers, advisors, politicians, each one trying to sway his decisions. Anyone would have gone mad with that much noise. But he had a trick. Every morning before facing the world, he reminded himself what kind of people he would encounter. "Today I'll meet people who are ungrateful, selfish, jealous," he wrote in his private notes. It wasn't pessimism, it was armor. That way his mind was never caught off guard. And when the pressure became unbearable, he retreated to the one place no one could touch, his inner world. There, in the pages we now call meditations, he poured it all out. It was his way of wiping the dust from his mind so that the outside mess didn't creep in. That was his real fortress, not the Roman legions, but the discipline of his thoughts. You've probably been there too. A message pops up from that one person who only reaches out to vent. Their boss hates them, their partner doesn't understand them, no one appreciates them. And you, who just wanted 5 minutes of peace, end up drowning in a flood of complaints that aren't even yours. When you finally put the phone down, you feel guilty. You tell yourself, "They're my friend, I can't turn my back on them." but the price you pay is your own calm. A psychologist I follow explained it with a brilliant metaphor. He said being around people who only drain you is like trying to meditate in a nightclub. You can try, but the noise always wins. And that's the truth, my friend. If someone doesn't lift you up, the very least they can do is not pull you down. The key is learning to set boundaries without drama. It doesn't mean cutting people off cold or being harsh. Sometimes it's as simple as replying only when you have the energy, instead of feeling you have to respond immediately. Or changing the subject when the conversation becomes a black hole. Or even staying silent, because you don't need to justify taking care of your peace. At the same time, start making room for those who do nourish you. People who don't need your energy to survive, but bring their own. Who make you laugh, who inspire you, who remind you that life can be light too. And if you don't have people like that around right now, be the one to start that kind of relationship. When you plant peace, you attract peace. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a small room. If you fill it with broken furniture and useless clutter, don't be surprised when there's no space for the things that really matter. The same goes for your relationships and conversations. Each one takes up space. And if that space is filled with other people's chaos, what room is left for your own ideas, your goals, your rest? I know it's not easy, because letting go can hurt. We tell ourselves we have to always be there, that walking away is selfish. But what good is keeping connections that only exist because you're afraid to release them? That's not generosity, it's fear. And fear doesn't create order, it only adds weight. So here's your uncomfortable but freeing decision. Stop holding up what only survives because you're keeping it alive. Not because you don't care, but because you're choosing to protect your peace. Because if you don't protect it, no one will. And here's the Stoic reminder. Chaos isn't tamed by pretty words. It's tamed by firm decisions. Some will sting, but all of them give you something back. Space. Space for what matters. Space for what you truly want to grow. 8. Your body supports your mind. What if all the mental chaos you're feeling actually starts in your body? Sounds strange, but think about it. How many times have you woken up more tired than when you went to bed? With random aches, or that lingering fatigue that won't go away even after 10 hours of sleep? And the odd part is, you don't take it seriously. You treat it like just another notification on your phone, something annoying you'll deal with later, until you can't anymore. If there was ever someone who took care of his body above all else, it was Seneca. Picture it, surrounded by Roman banquets, endless parties, and people chasing excess. And him? Choosing a different path, simple meals, regular rest, light exercise. He did it because he knew that if he let his body fall into disorder, his mind would follow. For him, taking care of the body wasn't luxury or vanity. It was strategy. In that sense, he was way ahead of his time. He understood that mental clarity starts with how you treat your body every single day. You probably know that trap of thinking everything can be fixed with coffee. 4 cups to make up for 2 hours of sleep, 0 movement, and fast food. And the result? Anxiety, exhaustion, and a false sense of productivity. It's like trying to get a computer to work with a loose cable and a cracked screen. No matter how many times you turn it on, it's not going to perform. Psychologist Maria Sanchez says it clearly. What you don't deal with in your mind, your body will end up expressing. And you see it all the time. In insomnia, migraines, tight muscles, digestive issues. Your body is the messenger screaming what your mind doesn't want to admit. You can't keep living on autopilot. There's a creator I follow who said what saved him wasn't some productivity app. It was something as simple as walking 10 minutes every morning. No music, no phone, just his footsteps. He called it rebooting the system. And it makes perfect sense. When you move your body, your mind starts to move too. It's not just exercise. It's remembering that you are a whole person and that your balance begins in the physical. My friend, your body needs structure just like your calendar does. If you eat a heavy dinner at 11 and turn off the lights at 1 in the morning, don't expect clarity the next day. It's not magic, it's biology. Order starts with simple rhythms. Eat earlier, sleep at the same time. Respect your body's natural pace. And no, that's not boring. That's giving your nervous system the solid ground it needs so you can think without all the static. Picture two scenarios. In the first, you wing it, stay up late, eat poorly, skip meals, overload on caffeine. Your mind wakes up in a storm. In the second, you stick to the basics. Go to bed on time, eat light at night, take a walk when you wake up. Your mind starts clear. You don't have to be a Stoic to get it, but just read Marcus Aurelius and you'll see. Inner order needs a body strong enough to carry it. So, my friend, when everything feels off, don't start by blaming yourself or assuming you just need more motivation. Start by noticing how you're treating your body. Maybe the real disorder isn't in your schedule, but in how you're carrying your own life. And if lately it feels like you're constantly pushing, forcing, trying to make everything fit and nothing's working, maybe what you need isn't more effort, but to let go. The video in front of you is exactly about that. Give it a chance, because it might just be the reminder you've been needing to finally let things come to you instead of always chasing them. 9. Chaos comes with a price. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're afraid to open your banking app, as if your balance might magically fix itself overnight. You check it, sigh, and then keep spending like you're an emotional millionaire. That overpriced coffee, the shirt you didn't need, the food delivery that barely hits the spot, all just attempts to cover up a void that's still there after you close the bag or the takeout box. The strange thing is, you convince yourself that having more will make you feel richer. But no, what happens is the exact opposite. Epictetus said it plainly. Wealth consists much more in enjoyment than in possession. And really, what's the point of buying so much if you don't even enjoy it? That's the trap. You buy to silence an emptiness, not to truly feel full. Think about it. This has probably happened to you. Payday hits on a Friday and you say, I deserve it. And yes, of course you do. But what that turns into is dinners, drinks, little indulgences. Until Monday rolls around and your bank app brings you back to earth, balance in the red. And the worst part isn't the money. It's the anxiety, the sense of drifting, of watching your inner chaos reflected in your numbers. Money doesn't lie. It's a mirror showing you the things you don't want to face. Impulsiveness, lack of direction, emotions left unchecked. A financial psychologist I follow says it best. Your credit card is your most honest journal. Because it doesn't speak in words, it speaks in transactions. And every line on your statement reveals your relationship with either calm or chaos. Let me give you a different example. Someone once told me that whenever they felt lonely, they ordered food delivery, not because they were hungry, but because that doorbell and that package made them feel less alone. Like the pizza came with a hug. The problem? By the end of the month, they had no money and still no company. Just more emptiness. That's when they realized the spending wasn't about hunger. It was about an emotional need. Try this. For 1 week, write down every expense and next to it the emotion you felt at the time. Don't sugarcoat it. Be brutally honest. You'll likely see that what you called a treat was actually boredom. What you called pleasure was anxiety. What you labeled a necessity was just fatigue. Seeing it in writing is like looking into a mirror that doesn't lie. And here's the key. It's not about never spending. Spending isn't the problem. The problem is spending without direction, as if money could patch every emotional wound. What you really need is to spend with intention. Decide ahead of time how much you'll set aside for things that genuinely nourish you, and treat that like a commitment to yourself. Trust me, that one decision changes your entire relationship with money. Imagine setting aside a little every month for what I call intentional pleasure. Not impulse, intention. Maybe it's a book, a massage, a special dinner. The difference is, you're not doing it to fill a hole. You're doing it to enjoy it fully. That's what Epictetus meant. Wealth isn't about owning. It's about appreciating. And no, you don't need to become a finance guru or open a Swiss bank account. It's simply about recognizing that your money is shouting things you don't want to hear. If you're spending compulsively, maybe what's missing is peace. If you never allow yourself a treat, maybe what's missing is permission to enjoy. Order begins by listening to what your numbers are trying to tell you. My friend, money doesn't give you freedom. How you use it does. When you bring order to your finances, your mind breathes easier. The anxiety fades. Chaos stops calling the shots. And best of all, you begin to build from a solid place, not from a constant state of emergency. So tell me, what habit are you going to change today to stop paying a toll to chaos? Share it in the comments. Or if you prefer, make your commitment with this phrase, Stoic at heart. Today I choose to spend with intention, because in the end, organizing your life also means organizing how you relate to money. And once you get that right, everything else flows with much more clarity. 10. Don't let a screen decide for you. How many times a day do you unlock your phone without even thinking? 5? 10? 50? And how many of those times are because you actually need to? And how many are just your finger moving on autopilot? It's like a conditioned reflex, a buzz, a ding, and you're already checking, even though deep down you know it's probably just spam. That's the issue. You're not the one in control. The screen is. And whether you want to admit it or not, your phone has become like that silent partner, right there with you when you wake up and when you fall asleep. The problem? It's not a partner. It's a time thief. And if you don't set boundaries, technology starts making decisions for you. Your focus, your energy, your calm, they're no longer yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote it with the same clarity we could use today to describe a smartphone. The perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without apathy or distraction. So tell me, how can you live with intention if the first thing you do when you wake up is open Instagram, then WhatsApp, then TikTok, and by the time you realize it, you've already given away half an hour of your life before doing anything that truly matters? You're handing over your most valuable treasure to the highest bidder, your attention. And when your attention isn't yours, neither is your life. A speaker from the Entiende tu Mente podcast put it simply: it's not enough to use your phone less. You have to disconnect for real. Because your brain needs silence. That's not poetic. It's scientific. The constant buzz of notifications blocks your ability to think, to create, to hear yourself. And as long as you live in the never-ending scroll, chaos will keep calling the shots. So here's something different. This isn't just about blocking apps or setting time limits. Try a digital retreat. No need to disappear to the Himalayas or turn off the power in your house. Do it on a regular Saturday. Turn your phone off, really off. Let the people who need to know be informed in advance. Then vanish for a few hours. No social media, no messages, no videos. Just you and your real life. Use that time to cook without rushing, to write something that's been on your mind, to go for a walk, to get bored even. Because yes, clarity is born in boredom. And if it feels tough, make it fun. Change your phone's name in your contacts to Time Thief, so next time you unlock it, you'll see it pop up. Time Thief you again. You won't believe how freeing it is to look at your phone with suspicion instead of treating it like your best friend. Once you start reclaiming your attention, everything shifts. It's not just about having more hours in the day. It's about getting your energy back. You focus better. You enjoy things more. Even your rest improves. Because now, you're not reacting like a robot to every ping. You're choosing what to do, when, and how. That's when chaos starts to dissolve. Remember this: if you don't take control of technology, it will take control of you. And it won't do it gently. It'll do it with algorithms designed to extract every second of your attention. Your attention is the front door to your inner life. Guarding it is an act of order, freedom, and stoic strength. So here's your challenge. Dare to do your own digital retreat, even just for one day. Force yourself to unplug. Because if you don't organize your mind, the screens will do it for you, and they won't go easy. 11. One bad day doesn't erase your path. Picture this. You wake up late, rush through breakfast, your inbox overflows, you're behind on everything, and by the end of the day, you feel like the whole week is ruined. As if one chaotic Thursday could cancel out the 3 solid organized days that came before. But no, a bad day doesn't destroy a life. It's just a crack in the road, and even cracks can teach you something. Marcus Aurelius knew this. In Meditations, he wrote that the perfection of character is to live each day as if it were your last, without apathy and without pretending, and that includes the messy days, the ones that don't go as planned, the ones that feel like a waste. What really defines your character isn't flawless execution, it's your ability to course correct after you stumble. Molosebrian said it in his podcast, Entiende tu mente. Mental rigidity can't handle life. Flexibility can. That's the key. It's not about standing firm all the time. It's about learning to bend and then come back upright. It's not about never messing up, it's about not giving up after the mess up. Let me paint a scene you'll probably recognize. You start the week strong. Monday is flawless, you get everything done, eat well, maybe even fit in a little extra. Tuesday keeps the momentum. Wednesday, still going. Then Thursday hits, and the rhythm breaks. You stay up too late, wake up tired, eat whatever's in reach, skip your workout, and suddenly you think, that's it. Week's ruined. That's the trap. Now picture 2 people facing that same chaotic Thursday. The first one says, I blew it, and lets the mess bleed into Friday, then the weekend, and maybe even into Monday. The second one, tired and frustrated just the same, chooses to do one small thing, lays out clothes for tomorrow, replies to one email, takes a 10-minute walk. A tiny action, yes, but enough to remind themselves they're still in charge. The contrast is huge, same bad day, 2 very different outcomes. One feeds the chaos, the other stops it cold. That's where everything shifts, not on the perfect days, but on the imperfect ones and how you respond to them. Here's the irony. The real problem wasn't the bad Thursday. It was the choice to use it as an excuse to let everything go. One bad day doesn't cancel the good ones, just like one cloud doesn't erase the sun. What turns it into a disaster is giving up. Seneca would have explained it differently. The time you've already lost can't be recovered, but you can choose what to do with what's left. And that's the power we forget when we surrender. Even in the middle of chaos, there's still something you get to decide. My friend, not every day will be flawless. That's not how life works. What is in your hands is refusing to let one setback ruin everything else. Think of it like a race. If you fall at mile 5, do you quit even though you still have the strength to finish? Of course not. You get up, brush off the dust, and keep going even if your pace is no longer perfect. Here's the practical side. When you have a messy day, don't try to fix the whole thing. Just focus on one small action that gives you direction. Wash the dishes, even if you don't clean the whole kitchen. Go for a 15-minute walk, even if you miss your full workout. Write one paragraph, even if the project stays unfinished. These small actions may seem trivial, but they are what separates surrender from resilience. At the end of a rough day, close it with a reminder. No need for a big speech, just one simple sentence. Today I fell, but I'm already back on my feet. Write it in a journal, in your notes app, on a sticky note next to your bed. Make it your anchor. Because what defines your life isn't the bad days. It's your decision not to give up on them. So don't give up over one bad day. Don't turn a single stone in the road into a reason to abandon the entire structure you're building. Real order isn't perfection. It's coming back to center, again and again. What you're missing isn't more willpower. It's simply the reminder that even in the chaos, you still have the power to return. And now, get ready, because what comes next is the most uncomfortable piece. It's not easy to accept. But if you do, it might just change everything. 12. Putting your life in order is an act of self-respect. This might sting a little, but I need you to hear it clearly. Do you know why it's often so hard to organize your life? It's not laziness. It's not a lack of time. Deep down, it's because you've forgotten that your life is worth taking care of. And I don't say this to point fingers. I say it because it happened to me, and it happens to more people than you'd imagine. Chaos doesn't always come from the outside. It starts inside in how you value yourself. When you stop prioritizing yourself, disorder becomes the norm. You get used to living with piles of unfinished tasks, messy drawers you never touch, schedules with no direction. And sure, you justify it. I don't have energy, I don't have time, I don't feel like it. But let's be honest, the real reason runs deeper. You've stopped treating your life like something valuable, like something that deserves structure, clarity, and care. And if you don't give it that, no one else will. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." And here's something crucial. What you think about yourself often isn't fair. If you keep repeating to yourself that you're not worthy of peace, order, or clarity, you'll start acting like it's true. And what happens? You feed the disorder. You let chaos call the shots. I realized this on an ordinary day, standing in front of something as simple as a sink full of dishes. Up until then, I'd only seen order as productivity. Everything was a checklist, a set of tasks, something to get through just to be efficient. But that day, exhausted, I looked at the sink and told myself, I'm not doing this to check a box. I'm doing it because I deserve a clean kitchen. Because that space reflects me. Because if I don't take care of it, no one will. And suddenly, tidying up stopped being an obligation. It became an act of self-respect. That's when I discovered something that changed everything. Order is also a form of self-love. It's a quiet gesture that says, I matter. Veronica Bloom put it beautifully in an interview. I tidy up because my peace of mind deserves a beautiful place to live. She didn't say it as some catchy Instagram caption. She said it as someone who understands that the space you live in mirrors the value you place on yourself. Think about it. When you organize your environment, you're not just moving things around. You're sending a direct message to your mind. Here, there is care. Here, there is respect. And that message, even if it's subtle, gives you energy. The opposite is true too. If you let chaos build up in your space, your mind soaks it in, and you start to believe that's all you deserve. So here's a challenge, my friend. Pick one small corner, just one. Your nightstand, your bag, your fridge. Organize it calmly, without rushing. Don't treat it like a chore. Treat it like an act of respect. Tell your mind, I deserve this order. Do it slowly with intention. And when you finish, take a moment to notice how it shifts something inside you. Want to take it further? Each night, write one short affirmation. Something as simple as, today I cared for myself by organizing my space. It might sound trivial, but your brain starts to believe what it hears repeatedly. And over time, that repetition trains you to see yourself differently. Seneca would have applauded this. He spoke often of the power of simplicity and how we don't need luxury to live well, just order and balance. And that starts with how you treat yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. It's not about having a spotless home. It's about reminding yourself daily that you're worth living in clarity. Don't beat yourself up on the days when everything falls apart again. Self-respect isn't measured by a magazine-ready house. It's measured by your willingness to return to order again and again. Because when you do, your life stops being something accidental and starts becoming something intentional. Here's what matters most. Your life can be a work of art, but only if you decide to be the one who creates it. Don't wait for chaos to disappear on its own, because it won't. It needs you to get up, to make decisions, to set boundaries, and to commit. Organizing your life isn't a punishment. It's not a boring chore. It's an act of respect for the most valuable thing you have, yourself. And when you understand that, order stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming freedom. Organizing your life isn't about making everything perfect. It's about recognizing yourself as someone who deserves to live with clarity. It's respect. It's care. It's a way of reminding yourself that chaos cannot be your default. Because if you don't choose, chaos will, and trust me, when chaos takes over, it always comes at a cost. Every small act of order is an act of self-love, a way of saying, I matter, and my life deserves structure. Don't forget, it's not about perfection, it's about intention. If you're with me on this, write it in the comments loud and clear. Organizing my life is respecting myself. That tells me you're part of this community that doesn't give up. Subscribe and turn on the bell so we can walk this path of wisdom together. You've got more videos on screen waiting for you, because every step counts. Click now, and let's keep learning together.